What's up, everybody? On today's video, we're going to be replying to some of the most hateful and racist comments that have shown up on my timeline. When you make an inappropriate comment on YouTube, it most likely goes into held for review. It means that YouTube automatically decides that your comment is not going on their platform. And that's exactly what we're going to be digging today in our held for review, to see the comments that YouTube has decided they don't want on their platform. Usually I don't even check this folder, although from time to time something ends up there that really wasn't rude. It's just YouTube didn't understand the context. Here's a comment that got lost in translation. If you look at the words, it sounds really wrong, but then when you get the context, they're referring to a squatted pickup truck, which has been made illegal in a few states. You understand that this comment ended up in this category by accident. Some of the comments that we're going to be going over today are definitely evil and hurtful. So let's get started. This comment here is referring to a special breed of morons that exists in Citrus County, Florida. Corey says that these hillbillies' tooth count is similar to their IQ. He loves living in Citrus County, but man, there's just a special breed of moron in Citrus County, and I can't disagree with him. Citrus County really has a lot of potential, but like Corey said, there's not a lot of teeth and there's not a lot of IQ in those individuals. Here's a comment that when I first started reading it, I almost wanted to start a GoFundMe for this person. It's somebody who's been homeless in Arkansas. She lost her husband in a car accident. I can definitely relate to this person because I've also recently gone through some unplanned for events in my life, and I understand how this feels. However, they ended off their comment blaming all their problems on immigrants. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I am an immigrant myself, and I do a lot of great things for the homeless people everywhere I've lived. And in fact, had you not said that last statement, I would have started a GoFundMe to help you with your situation, because I can definitely relate to losing people you love in tragic accidents. I remember in Clewiston, Florida, I saw an American person drive their vehicle off into a canal, and I saw illegal workers from Haiti and Guatemala risk their lives in a gator-infected canal to save an American person from drowning in a vehicle. If you've watched my homeless interviews, you may have noticed that a lot of the homeless people that I interview are telling me that it's the Hispanics who are helping the homeless population the most because their fellow Americans are not sympathetic to their cause. And it's ironic that this person is making this comment from Arkansas, because the only area in Arkansas that's even remotely worth moving to is the northwest corner of the state, which happens to be the most Hispanic place in Arkansas. If it wasn't for Arkansas's Hispanic community, the state of Arkansas would analytically be worse off than Mississippi and Alabama. It's really the Hispanic community that's up there working that's held that state together. And the answer to that is pretty straightforward. What's the fastest growing and most attractive area in Arkansas? Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville. It also happens to be the area of Arkansas with the most immigrants. Maybe if you told some of those immigrants in Arkansas what you've gone through, they'd be more likely to build you a house than your own fellow Americans. Because as far as I've seen in the United States, it's the Latino communities that are the most sympathetic for Americans that are going through hard times. What's crazy is, as I started reading that person's comment, I literally was thinking, I'm going to find out who this person is, and I'm going to start a GoFundMe for them. And then I read that last little bit, and I felt really hurt. Here's a really demented character who went out of their way to say racist things about me, calling me Pedro as if to offend me, calling me a boy. So this person definitely was trying to be hurtful. But the joke's on him, because apparently he lives in Alabama, which might explain why he doesn't recognize why we measure analytics in rates, not in numbers. We would need about half an hour to explain to you guys that the state of Alabama and the city of Chicago's murder rate are almost identical. And that's kind of crazy because most of Alabama is rural. The adjacent state of Mississippi and Louisiana actually have higher murder rates than the city of Chicago. But to answer this question, which I honestly see on my channel all the time, that, black on black crime, if you grab a community and you deplete them of resources, deplete them of education, don't give them paved roads, don't give them any opportunities, logically, you're creating a situation where that population is going to have worse analytics than everybody else. Other countries that have black and white populations don't have these despairing differences of analytics because they don't treat their black population the same way that the Deep South has. So to answer your question, you've created a situation where you've deprived the African American community of everything, so of course they're going to have more crime. That's what you created. You purposely created a situation where that community has absolutely no opportunity, so of course they're going to be marginalized. That's what you did to them. People in the United States make comments like, well, the black people are the ones that are doing 90% of the crime, 5% of the population does 100% of the crime. Those are the type of statements people in the United States make. Countries like Brazil, for example, they describe it differently. They describe it as a marginalized community, which just goes to show that if you deprive people of resources, then that is the results you get. You did this intentionally. This has to be one of the stupidest arguments that I've seen on YouTube, and it's a new argument that people are starting to make, and the sad thing is that they think it's logical. Imagine now if two athletes are going to take part in a race. One of those athletes has a head start, and the other athlete gets beat with a baton before he starts the race. It's pretty clear who's going to win that race by default. And they're worthless analytics anyway, since after all, we know that today in the United States, the white population is 2 times more likely to overdose than the black population, so it should really be the white population that has a higher margin of arrest. You know what would really hurt this person's feeling is if we started to talk more about real analytics. Places like Port St. Lucie, Florida, and the state of Idaho, which are new and fast-growing communities, in those areas that don't have established economical influence from the past, African Americans are actually making more income than the white population. Yes, we're starting to see now in new suburbs and fast-growing areas that the average black population in those places, places like Idaho, a few other states that are fast growing up and coming, and cities as well that are growing and new, the black population actually has by far better analytics than whites. Income, overdose rates, all that. It's not happening in older cities that have systematically been abusing their black population. But if you look at new areas where everything is new, the businesses, the houses, you're just starting off of a clean slate. Today, the black population in those areas actually has much better analytics than the white population. It's not the 1990s anymore. It's 2003. Start looking at new analytics and you'll start to see what I'm telling you is right. What's crazy is that almost every single day I have to read this comment on my channel, and the explanation isn't that black people are worse. It's that these are marginalized communities. Find an African American community that's not marginalized and you don't have those problems. To say that African Americans in the United States have worse analytics is similar to saying that most palm trees are going to die in Alaska. Of course they will. It's a cold climate. They're not meant to survive there. You know, most polar bears are dying in Florida. Yeah, because that's not really their environment. It's a hostile place. Of course they're not going to thrive here. All you have to do to dispel this notion is simply look at analytics from other countries. For example, Canada is right next to the United States. Compare the analytics of crime rates by race in Canada to those of the United States, and it's not as despairingly different. If you were to actually study analytics, murder rates usually do not correlate with races. They correlate with geographical barriers. For example, islands seem to have very high murder rates. Even in the United States, most of the safest states are the northern states, and most of the most dangerous states are the southern states. Alright, so this person's a bully, and he thinks if he makes fun of my Cuban accent, which I have no idea what type of accent I have, but if he makes fun of my accent, he thinks he's going to hurt my feelings. I am okay with that. I actually love my Cuban accent, and I'm working hard to preserve it, especially since I live in Florida. Women absolutely adore that Spanish accent, so I'm trying not to lose it. But he's a bully, and he thinks if he makes fun of my accent or the lack of, I don't know what he's trying to make fun of, but he thinks if he makes fun of my accent, it's going to hurt my feelings. When I lived in Alabama and the woman heard my accent that was different from whatever the crap they got going on, it's like when I travel to different places. I mean, like, naturally, when we hear a different accent, it just kind of catches your attention. Like, you ever hear somebody from Louisiana or England talk, you immediately draw to it. It's actually a nice thing. I think accents are beautiful, and I love hearing people from England or other parts of the world talk. It just sounds incredible to hear somebody talk the same language as you, but in a different dialect. I actually love accents. In fact, accent challenges are huge on the internet because people just genuinely like to hear other people's accents. So this comment is from a short of Charlotte, North Carolina, a short that's nearly reaching 1 million people on my channel. It's about 2 cars crashing, and a lot of people are saying that the people that crashed the cars were from New York. Now, I actually got out and checked on the people, and let me tell you, it was a black neighborhood, and they were black people. It's a poor neighborhood, a neighborhood nobody's moving to. I can almost guarantee you I would put money on those people being Charlotte, North Carolina natives, not New Yorkers. But they want to blame New Yorkers for everything bad that happens. Are we starting to see a pattern here of people blaming other people for all their misfortunes? I can almost assure you that those people were natives, because in that neighborhood I was in, it wasn't the type of neighborhood that New Yorkers are moving to. And if they move to Charlotte, they sure as crap are not going to venture into that part of Charlotte. So, no, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm pretty sure they were locals. I've noticed in my North Carolina videos, there's a lot of contempt and regionalism against people from New York. They want to blame all their crime and all their problems on the people from New York, but the people from New York are not moving to those crime-infested neighborhoods. People from New York are buying houses in the outskirts and the suburbs, areas that don't have crime, so that doesn't really check out. Here's another comment that we see all the time. I wonder what demographic's responsible for all this. The answer is pretty straightforward, buddy. The people who caused the problem, the people in charge, are the ones who led to this. When you see Mississippi and you see these black communities that are like this, it's not the black people that are responsible. It's the white people who ensure that their communities fail. That's pretty straightforward. I don't see why you can't see that. Who's responsible for this situation? Simple. The people in charge. Here's another common one. Hey, dawg, they cracker in my hood, dawg. I think there's an African safari out here, dawg. Hey, man, you do a poverty tourism or something, man? Hey, man, these white people think it's a zoo out here, man. But yeah, without a doubt, the African safari comment is a comment that I get to see almost on a daily basis on my channel. And the answer is also surprisingly simple and straightforward. Martin Luther King fought for equality and for economical inclusion. If I do videos in white and Hispanic areas, then I should also do videos in black areas. That's called economical inclusion. Hey, welcome on board. If I can make fun of white people and I can do all types of videos showing what's wrong with white America, why can't I do a video talking about what's wrong with black America? It's called economical inclusion. Equality means that we treat everybody the same. Clearly that's not happening in the United States. Here's a black area and they don't even pave the roads in front of the school. So because the United States has that history, we just have to be a little bit more respectful and just careful not to offend the sensibilities of people. Not because they're a bunch of insensitive pricks and that they're hurt. That's not the reason. The reason is just that the African American community in the United States has been through so much that it's understandable that they take things the wrong way. So the least you could do is, if you know something hurts somebody, then just don't do it. How hard is that? If you know somebody has a complexion with how big their eyeballs are, or how short their hair is, or how they got a bald spot on top of their head, you know what you do? You don't hurt their feelings. You just don't say something that's going to hurt those people. So if African Americans have more sensibilities, then the logical thing to do is, well, we know they've been through a lot, so just be more respectful. But now, if this person who has a bald spot wants to act like there isn't a bald spot there, then maybe we do have to discuss that. And in the case of the African safari comments, Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and all them people in the civil rights movement, they fought for equality. So I couldn't imagine having a YouTube channel where I don't do videos in black neighborhoods because it might offend somebody, because they fought for equality and economical inclusion. That means that I have to do videos in black areas. If I show good black areas and bad black areas, and I do it with it should all be the same. There's no reason why I can't show a black bad area, because then that wouldn't be economical inclusion. That would feel wrong to me, really. You know what's interesting? I've never had a black person here in South Florida or New York or California trip out about this issue. It's always people in the Deep South. So it's not like it's a generic thing throughout the black community. It's just specific communities that have been through kind of some crazy crap that are just more on the defensive. They're more easily offended, and they just automatically assume it's coming from a bad angle because, again, if you've been treating people bad for so long, then that's what you can expect them to feel like, logically, right? And then there's another aspect to this topic, is that I don't live under segregation laws. I'm gonna go to every single neighborhood. There's no neighborhood in this country that I'm not going to do a video in. I don't care if it's a poor white area, a rich white area. I'm going to do videos everywhere. I don't live under segregation laws. You're not going to sit here and tell me that I can't go into a specific neighborhood because of the neighborhood's demographics. I don't live under Jim Crow laws. So maybe you live in Mississippi and Alabama and you live under Jim Crow laws, but I don't. And you're not going to enforce those Jim Crow era laws on me. I'm going to report on every single topic, however the crap I want. Let me tell you, I got a black friend who's very wealthy, and me and him were working together a while back, and we were driving through a poor black neighborhood, and the things that he had to say were much more offensive than something I would have dared to say. He looked more scared than I was, so it's not like it's not a problem that needs. It's like the guy with the bald spot, okay? I'm not gonna pick on you and make fun of you for that, but don't try to act like it's not there. You're never gonna increase and improve whatever it is you're working on if you don't admit there's a problem. The first step to making your situation better is simply admitting there's a problem. If you don't admit there's a problem, how are you ever going to improve? Another variation of the African safari comment is the "why don't you show white areas" comment. This is a really common comment as well. And the answer to that is also fairly simple. Watch my YouTube video. They're just almost on a monthly basis. And then the Boomer 53 says, "I'd hate to pay that feed bill." So he's making fun of my wife being a little fat. You know, I can't wait till boomers are all gone. I really cannot. I look forward to the day that that entire generation passes away and they're gone and we don't have to deal with them. I think the world will be a better place once boomers are gone. Personally, I have no problem paying that feed bill, especially on a cold night like tonight. It's nice to have something warm to cuddle, my man. Your skinny wife cannot keep you warm at night, nor can she help you in a fighting situation. You ever get into a bar fight, you're gonna wish you had a wife that big, my man. My wife has this fighting move where she just sits on you. You're gonna be crying for mercy. So what's dumber than a bigot? A bigot who hates themselves. Here's a person who apparently doesn't even know how to write in English, but they hate illegal immigrants. Like, you don't know English probably means you haven't passed your U.S. citizenship test, means you could probably be deported or be that illegal immigrant yourself. This has to be the biggest idiot of all racist idiots. The racist idiot who pretty much hates themselves. At least the average bigot hates somebody who's different than them. I can work with that. But if you're on some Uncle Ruckus type of crap, I can't help you. Here's another common hateful comment. "I used to watch your videos, but now everything's about race." But notice that the video is a silent video. The GoPro's mounted on the outside of the camera, so I'm saying absolutely nothing. And the video is of me driving through the rain. There's absolutely no commentary on the video whatsoever. So who's the one that brought up race? Me uploading a video about driving through the rain, or you mentioning that you stopped watching my videos because everything's about race? How is a video of me driving through the rain about race? Explain that to me. And who's the one that brought it up in this particular case? If that makes any sense. You did. And then there's the "Katie, please escape" comments. Now, These are people who think that I'm mistreating Katie and they're encouraging her to run away. Unfortunately, there's way too much food, comforts, and love in this household, and she's not willing to work a real job. So the chances of Katie escaping to have to get a job and maybe buy her own food supply is not happening anytime soon. She's very comfortable here, and my fat keeps her warm at night as well. We have a pretty good mutual benefit relationship. In fact, dang it, Katie, stop sneezing. If anybody needs to wake up to the reality of this relationship, it's actually me. I'm the breadwinner, and I'm the one who has to get hit. It's not like she's a white woman. Like, you think the cops are going to show up and they're not going to arrest me even if she's the aggressor? Like, she's a white woman. Of course they're going to arrest me. Like, how do I... You don't put your hands on a white woman. That's why white women love Hispanic or black boyfriends, because they know that if the cops show up, he's going to jail. You can't put... If you got a white woman, you're not putting your hands on her. Like, everybody knows that. I take care, I love, and I cherish my white woman. If I were to abuse my white woman, let me tell you, Katie would not put up with that for a second. And neither will a sheriff's office. They're pretty anxious to get their hands on me too. So yeah, that's not really happening. Usually I deal with a lot of southern turds on my channel, but here's a northern turd. He hates the fact that I'm from the South. He hates the fact that I'm Spanish. He just hates everything about me. And it's not just southern people who are regionalistic. Occasionally, less common, but every once in a while, I do get the northern turd. The more common southern turd I deal with more often, but there's the occasional northern turd as well. Then you got the people that subscribe to your channel just so they can hate, like Paporail, who hates the truck and the owner. Well, the owner of that truck is actually not me. The owner of that truck is the bank that financed it. I only borrow the trucks from them so I can use the mileage from my road trips as a write-off, so I don't have to pay taxes on a lot of money. So I don't really consider myself the owner of the vehicle. The owner is actually the bank, and I'm never going to be the owner of that truck, because after I've put 50, 60, 70,000 miles on it, which will usually be within the first year, I'll trade it back in for another one. All I care about is the depreciation and the write-off, because that's the reason I buy these vehicles. I don't know if you guys have noticed that almost every single year, towards the end of the year, I'll buy another vehicle for tax purposes. I'm not the owner of that truck. The bank is. I don't want to be the owner of it. I just want to put miles on it so I can write it off. I'd rather give my money to GM or Ford than to the U.S. government. At least these automakers are going to try to bring EDSO back. That seems a lot more promising than whatever the crap the government's going to do with the money. We're going to free Antarctica from these ice caps. Yeah, I'd rather revive EDSO or Saturn or crap, bring back an electric Hummer or something. Whatever the automakers want to do, I'd rather give them my money. Maybe if I spend another $1 million on GM products, they can figure out how to make a light bulb. None of your business wants to use the N-word needlessly. Now this person, I looked into their channel a little bit more closely, and they actually live in Washington, and they complain that people on Washington's coast are libs and that they're the ones who are racist. However, they found the opportunity to use the N-word needlessly, so we know who the real racist people are. If anything, you just convinced me to consider moving to Washington. Well, this person's caught red-handed. He says that the people in Washington state are a bunch of racist liberals, yet he's the one making offensive comments. So, caught red-handed. Yes, both of the comments ended up in the held for review, and this person's not welcome on our channel. They're getting deported. Yes, this person's getting deported from my channel. Alright guys, so those are just some of the hateful and racist comments that I have to read on a daily basis. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me replying to some of them. Usually I just ignore these comments though. I'm going to answer a few more of these and then we're done. This person says that Cubans, Mexicans, and Jamaicans are the reason that South Florida is horrible. Actually, the real estate prices in South Florida are more expensive than North Florida. All of the fast-growing cities, all of the low crime rates, the lowest... Everything that's great about Florida is happening on the southern end of the state. Real estate prices alone are going to let you know that South Florida is more desirable. So if you compare North Florida to South Florida, it's the areas that have the immigrant communities that have all of the great things, like fast-growing communities, low murder rates, low crime rates. I'm not going to argue with you about analytics because we've already gone over these analytics 50 times on our channel. Most of our subscribers actually know this. If you don't know this, then, well, maybe you're dumb or you live in North Florida. Whatever the case, on my channel, we've elaborately expanded on the topic of real analytics for crime, incomes, areas that are growing. We've covered this extensively on my channel, so if you haven't figured it out by now, then, well, there's something wrong with you. Yeah, nobody from New York is moving to North Florida. They're moving to South Florida. This is where the jobs are, the growth, all of the great things that Florida has to offer are in South Florida. I don't ever hear New Yorkers like, man, I'm moving to Live Oak, Florida. They're like, you mean Port St. Lucie or Naples? Yeah, nobody's moving to Mariana, Florida. Nobody's moving to freaking Panama City. They're moving to South Florida because this is where the great stuff is happening. So actually, if we were going to really break down your comment, the complete opposite would be true. If it's actually South Florida that's growing, that has all the great things people want in Florida. Like, nobody's like, hey, man, I'm from New York. I'm moving to freaking Chattahoochee, Florida. No, like, dude, like, I'm moving to, like, Boca Raton or something. You understand? Like, hey, honey, pack the Subaru. We're moving to Stark, Florida. No, she's going to be like, no, like, we're moving to Naples. Like, like, where the crap is? Like, yeah, nobody's moving to Baldwin, Florida, buddy. They're moving to, like, Bonita Springs. I love how stupid these racist people are. Like, they'll make an argument, and then if you start to digest the information they're giving you, like, the real facts are actually on your side of the argument. It doesn't even make sense. Yeah, if you're from North Florida and you want to prove that North Florida is better than South Florida, the last thing you want to mention is freaking analytics because they're not on your side of the argument. We have higher crime, we have higher murder rates, we have higher drug overdose death rates, we have colder weather, we have colder people, we have worse beaches. Just about everything that's bad is what we got. Oh, we got great jobs too. We got jobs in logging. Okay, we got people who are disabled too, and we got people that's just straight out crackheads. So if you're moving to Florida, we want you in North Florida because we have lower incomes. Land ain't worth crap up here. Of course, who the crap wants to move here? So there's no reason for the land to be valuable up here. Now, we don't have any Mexicans up here. So if, like, your water heater breaks or something like that, you're not getting a Mexican. I mean, we don't have them. You're getting Larry. Now, Larry and his possum might have a chance to fix your water heater, but he takes his time. He's not going to just show up and fix it. Like, really, you might just want to go and fix your own water heater because it might take him a few weeks to get out there. Once he gets out there, and it ain't no telling what he's really gonna do. He may not even know what a water heater is. Really, like, you might just be taking a lot of cold showers if you're waiting on Larry and his possum to come fix that water heater, because we don't have any Mexicans here in North Florida. So your roof may also be a huge problem, and you're definitely gonna be mowing your own lawn in North Florida. There's no hiring somebody to mow your lawn for you. So if you're disabled and you're not able to mow your lawn, let me just tell you, you can hire Billy's boy, but last time we hired him, a couple things came up missing. So, well, that's pretty much how that goes. It's a stupid argument. There's no way you could win that. Why would you even bring up that argument? That's a stupid argument to bring up to begin with. Here's another stupid one. I wonder what community commits most of the crimes in the Fort Myers area. Well, there's a poor Hispanic area, there's a poor black area, and there's a poor white area. Now, personally, if I had to pick, and of course I don't know if this is a white person saying this, a black person, I don't know who this person is, I don't know what their point is either, but if you were to take the city of Fort Myers, which is the city he mentioned, you have poor white areas, North Fort Myers, Suncoast Estates, you have Dunbar, which is a poor black area, and then you have Palm Beach and Pine Manor, which are poor Hispanic areas today, right? Like, if I had to pick which one of those three areas was worst, I wouldn't want to live in any of them. So, Fort Myers, that's a bad argument to make with the city of Fort Myers, because it may not be a hard argument to make like in Birmingham, Alabama, but it's definitely a hard argument to make in the city of Fort Myers, because I'm going to assume this person's white, right? the worst part of all Fort Myers is Suncoast Estates, Pomona Park, North Fort Myers just happens to be a white area. So what exactly is your point? There's no point to be made. So it's kind of like, it's like these people that are racist are so stupid that they'll think the facts are on their side. And then when you break down the information that they brought, like they're the ones who picked the information that they're going to use to prove their argument. When you start to break down that information, you see that their information is flawed. It doesn't apply. And what's interesting is that they're the ones who brought up that information. So it's not like, like it's like they're disadvantaging themselves with the analytics that they're choosing to talk about. It's like if somebody who was like 2 feet shorter than you wanted to play basketball with you, and then he wondered why he couldn't win. It's like, you're the one who shows this topic. You're the one who shows this form of information. Now it doesn't prove your point. Like, what are you even trying to prove? But anyways, most racist people don't come from an intellectual background. Racism comes from poverty. It comes from hate. It comes from the worst of society. It doesn't really come from a place of education. So what do you think you're going to get from them? But it's interesting because you think, like, everybody has, like, even if it's, you could have a really stupid belief, right? Whatever, you could have the dumbest belief possible, but you can articulate some type of reasonable defense. That's what criminals do. Like, there's criminals that commit murders and there's a lot of evidence against them. And when they go to trial, they try to make a convincing argument. Imagine somebody like being in a jury for like a murder trial or something, and he's like, man, I didn't kill him. I've killed a lot of other people. But this one, I could tell you, well, there's other bodies. That's basically what you're doing. It's like you're trying to make a defense, but you're not choosing the right topic. It's like if you're a criminal defense lawyer, you have to defend your client. You may not agree with your client. You may not even know if your client is innocent or not, but you're going to pick arguments that you can defend. And whether you're right or wrong, or whether your client committed the crime or not, your goal is to defend that client to the best of your ability, whether they're innocent or not. So yes, you can make defenses, and whether you're right or wrong, it's irrelevant. But imagine a lawyer trying to make a defense for his client, and he's like, well, my client has committed a lot of crimes. He's been involved in crime. How could he have committed a murder when he was committing a robbery somewhere else? It's like, yeah, that doesn't quite literally give you that much credibility. Again, you can defend all types of situations from all types of angles. Whether you're right or wrong, you can make a convincing argument. But I would most likely think, if you're a lawyer, an argument would be like, he's got 12 baby mamas to feed. He got 12 baby mamas. He ain't got no time to be out there committing no murders. Look at him. Look at all these women out here with all these kids. He got mouths to feed. Okay, that's a more convincing argument than like, well, he's not a murderer. What he's really into is robberies. Like, he don't usually, it's not a good, you're not making a strong argument. At least give me a good argument that I can debate with you, because you're not giving me good arguments to debate. Why you gotta say he's got baby mama problem, Jose? Come on, man. Not everybody who has that accent's black. I know a lot of people who speak in that accent and they're not black. So now you're the one that's I see, I got you. Well, anyways, I get more of these comments on a daily basis than we'll ever have enough time to reply to them all. But what I want you guys to get from this video is that I'm not always the one that's bringing up these topics. The people that are telling me, oh, you're always talking about racism, are the first ones who watch 20 of my videos and have 10 of those comments end up in the held for review automatically before I even get a chance to see them, because YouTube's already determined that they're inappropriate comments. And many of the people that make those comments on one video that appears to be a logical statement, if you go and click on that subscribe and see all their comments throughout the channel, on some of those comments, they're held for review. They're inappropriate. So again, not making a good defense for yourself. And the bottom line is, I make a crap load of money on these racism videos. One particular video on racism has made me almost $3,000, because this is what you guys want. You know what I like? I like this right here. I like seeing car shows. Guess what? There's no money in that. I would much rather be out there looking at car shows or doing fishing videos. That's what I would want to do. But guess what? There's no money in that. You know where the money's in? Racism. Is it because I want to make all my videos about racism? No. It's because the videos on racism that I've done in the past make me thousands of dollars, because that is what puts the comments to move. That's what's making these comments go crazy, is the videos on racism. It's not because I choose those topics. It's because those are topics that you guys react to. And if that's what makes the money, that's what I got to do. And I've told you guys this repeatedly throughout the course of my channel. It's like, this is what makes money. Is it what I want to be doing? No, I like this right here. I like car shows. I like fishing videos. That's what I wish I could do. But guess what? That isn't going to pay for this beautiful apartment in Lakewood Ranch, so me and my overweight wife can drive around in a brand new pickup every freaking year.